Okay guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you exactly how to send information before a call transfer even happens. Now, there are two ways specifically to do this, as you can see in the diagram. One way is going to be sending information via API, and the other way is going to be sending information via the warm call transfer. Now, these two ways, I'm going to explain them very thoroughly in this video, so make sure that you guys stay tuned, and by the end of this, you guys will be able to understand how to send call information before the transfer happens. Let's get this going and let's jump straight into it. Okay, so as I mentioned, step number one, we're going to be starting with the API way of sending information of a call transfer before the transfer actually happens. So to put this into place, you're going to need two specific things. You're going to need one custom action inside of Synthflow, and you're going to need one workflow inside of Synthflow to send the information that you gather from the call. All right, fairly simple. Let's start with the custom action right here, which I call send call transfer info. Now, inside this custom action, you're going to copy exactly what I do here. Just keep in mind that I'm going to be setting it up with you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is select a post method right here. Then this endpoint URL, leave it blank for now. We're going to get there in just a second. Make sure that the headers are as so for your headers. And let's go over to authentication. You can have an authentication. In this case, you don't really need an authentication. You can turn the authentication off. And within here, you're going to have the type of action be during the call itself. Now, you can copy exactly what I mentioned here. However, do keep in mind that anything that you put in through here, for example, if you are giving this contextual information to a sales rep, right, from your team, so that way the assistant transfers the call over to them and then they're able to close the deal easily, you can include any of the information that you need the sales rep to know in here, right? In this case, I'm including the user's phone number, the first name, last name, and the user's email. So that way, if the sales rep ever needs to look them up in the system, we're able to do so, or he is able to do so very easily. So once you guys have this going, make sure that you also have the variable set in place here. So email, first name, last name. It's very simple. The user's name, phone number will always be there. So no need to add it as a variable here. However, if you go over to general settings here, you can just copy this as is. This won't cause much of a difference. You can copy it pretty much word for word and you should be fine. Then you can go over here to messages. This is essentially what you're going to have the assistant say. In my opinion, you're not even going to have the assistant have to say anything here, because the way that we're going to set this up is so that way it doesn't even say anything when it's doing the action, right? So you can leave this all blank or just have it say the exact same things that it says right here. Either way, it won't say anything. Now, once you have this here, you can test the action, but before you test the action, what you're going to want to do is go over to your workflows. Now, in your workflows, you're going to want to set up a new workflow within Synthflow. And the first thing you want to do is grab the webhook where it says catch webhook here. You're going to grab the webhook, copy that. You're going to go back to the custom action that you had here. And then in this endpoint URL, you're going to paste that webhook, and then you're going to go over and initialize the action with the information set here. You're going to wait for it a little bit. And once it does it, we're going to check what happened here. Failed. All right, fairly simple mistake. You first need to make sure that you press on the test button right here before you actually initialize the action here. Once you initialize the action, it should say success, and it should preload all the information that you have here, right? Now, in this case, as you can see, these are the examples: the email, the phone number, the first name, the last name, right? Once you have that information, you can do basically anything that you want with it, whether it be sending an email, sending an SMS using Twilio, sending it over to your Google chat. Whatever you want to do with the information, you can do with the information. Now, in this case, just for the case in here, I'm going to send an email over to the sales team, like if it was for a sales rep. So I'm going to connect my Gmail account right here, and then action, as you can see, and I'm going to send the email to sales@gmail.com, which is an imaginary email, of course. And then the subject is going to be pre-sales information. You can set it up to whatever you want it to be. And within here, I'm going to add the information of the call itself. So how do I do that? I can go over here, catch webhook, and then body, and I'm going to match them so that way we have the correct ones. In this case, right, we can include the phone number here, and then we can include the email. And fairly simple. Now, whenever this happens, you should receive an email, right? If we test the workflow right now, you should receive easily. As you can see, the email was delivered right there. So I received the email with the information, first name, last name, email, phone number, and that way, whenever you want to have a transfer happen, it sends the information back. However, let's go ahead and set it up in the assistant now. Now that you have the foundation set in place, we can go ahead and publish this. If I go over to the assistants, you can either do this in a flow designer or you can do this in your normal prompt. I'll show you how to do it both ways. So if we scroll in here, you can go to the section wherever you want to have the transfer happen, and you're going to have two steps that occur before sending the transfer over. So the first one is if the user ever wants to transfer the call or speak to a human, before you transfer the call, first use the tool send call transfer info, which is this custom action that we generated. And then once you're able to generate this and that happens, you can then tell it to use the tool call transfer to transfer the call. And this is when it's going to transfer the call to the actual person. Now, what does this do, right? This action sends the information to your sales team, and this action transfers the call to your sales team. So that way they have the information and the call gets transferred. Now, that is essentially how you guys are able to send call transfer information before a transfer happens using API. Now, how do we send it? How do we send this information using the warm call transfer, which is a new feature inside of Synthflow, right? I want you guys to be able to know each and every single feature. So this feature is very, very useful, especially when you're looking to close sales and need instant information from the assistant itself. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to do is go over to actions, and then within actions, you're going to go over to call transfer, and inside of call transfer, you're going to see this transfer settings tab. Now, you're going to see two options when you click on this transfer mode. There's going to be a warm transfer with message, and there's going to be a warm transfer with contextual summary. Let's do the message first. Now, in the message, you're going to see that it has a very straightforward message that is going to be solidified every single time. There's no way of changing it until we come up with an update inside of Synthflow where you can add variables onto this message, which is going to be super neat, and that should be coming fairly soon. Now, this is one way of doing it, and what basically happens with this? Picture this. You have a user that calls an assistant. The assistant then attempts to transfer the call over to the sales team. Before transferring the call to the sales team, the assistant is going to tell the sales rep, once it calls it, hey, you have a lead, I'll be connecting you shortly. And then it makes that transfer with the user itself. Okay, so this is how it happens. Now, if you wanted to say something different, I mean, you actually wanted to generate a contextual summary within the call itself of whatever happened with the user, you're going to use this warm transfer with contextual summary. So this is going to give an actual summary to the sales rep on the other end, where it's going to tell them what happened, what type of inquiry they wanted, and so on and so forth. And then it's going to transfer the call. So these are the two ways that you guys are able to transfer the call with contextual summary. Now, before I drop some gold nuggets down below and you guys can actually have some very valuable things from my community itself, I do want to say that I really do appreciate each and every single one of you guys for coming in and watching the video. I'll keep this short, of course, but if you guys are able to subscribe and like this video, if possible, it helps me make more content. And at the end of the day, it also helps you get the best quality possible from me. With that being said, let's go ahead and go into the fact that I have created multiple snapshots inside of my community where you guys are capable of going in there, having a little bit of a conversation with other users. And then at the end of the day, you're going to get a free snapshot that shows you basically how to do everything within GoHighLevel, how to be able to have very good and effective voice AI assistants, free courses even, and all these things that you can utilize to become a very successful voice AI agency if that's what you're looking to do. Now, I really appreciate you guys once again, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.